My girlfriend invited her ex to my birthday dinner as a friend. When he showed up with flowers for her, she said, "It's sweet that you still remember what I like." I blew out my candles, made a wish, and left. My wish came true. 3 days later, she was calling me frantically to undo what I did. I've been sitting on this story for a couple months, partly because I was too busy enjoying the fallout, and partly because I wanted to see how everything played out. It's a good one. For context, I, 29M, had been dating Eliza, 27F, for almost 2 years. We met through a mutual friend at a craft brewery opening, hit it off immediately, and things progressed pretty smoothly from there. She's smart, ambitious, works in marketing for a tech company. I run a physical security consultancy specializing in access control systems and surveillance for businesses and high-end homes. We've been growing steadily over the past 5 years. Eliza and I weren't living together, but we spent most nights at one of our places. I have my own house on the outskirts of the city that I bought 4 years ago after landing several corporate clients. She has a downtown apartment that's convenient for work. Now about the ex. His name is Kyle. I'd heard about him from day one. They dated for 3 years before breaking up about a year before Eliza and I met. According to her, they just wanted different things. He wanted to settle down, she wasn't ready. Standard breakup stuff. What wasn't standard was how often his name came up. Kyle's new job, Kyle's vacation photos, Kyle's family drama. I never made a big deal out of it. I'm not the jealous type, and I figured some people just stay friends with their exes. Not my style, but whatever. About 6 months into our relationship, Eliza mentioned that her company needed to upgrade their security system. Since that's my business, I offered to help as a professional courtesy. She introduced me to her boss, we worked out a service contract, and I installed their system. As the relationship progressed, Eliza began helping with some marketing materials for my company. Nothing formal, just occasional advice and feedback, since that's her expertise. Then came my birthday. Eliza insisted on organizing everything. Dinner reservation at this upscale place I'd mentioned wanting to try, inviting a small group of our closest friends. I was touched by her effort and looking forward to a good night. The day before, she casually mentioned, "Oh, by the way, I invited Kyle too." I looked up from my laptop. "Kyle, your ex?" "Yeah, is that okay? He's just a friend now and he gets along with most of the people who'll be there." Something felt off, but I didn't want to come across as insecure. "Sure, whatever, it's just dinner." The night arrives. We're at the restaurant, a table for 8. My best friend Tom and his wife, my business partner Jared, 2 other couples we hang out with regularly, Eliza and me. We're having drinks, waiting on the last guest. Kyle. He shows up 20 minutes late, making a grand entrance, and he's carrying a bouquet of purple dahlias. I immediately glance at Eliza, who's beaming. Kyle hands her the flowers, completely ignoring me. "These are for you," he says. "Happy spring." It's October. Eliza accepts them, her face lighting up. "Purple dahlias. It's sweet that you still remember what I like." The table goes silent. Everyone's looking from Kyle to Eliza to me. Tom's wife gives me a sympathetic grimace. Jared looks like he wants to say something, but thinks better of it. Kyle finally acknowledges me with a nod. "Happy birthday, man." No flowers for the birthday boy, apparently. Dinner proceeds, and it's like I'm invisible. Kyle dominates the conversation, sharing inside jokes with Eliza that no one else gets. He's positioned himself directly across from her, making eye contact constantly. I'm at the head of the table, supposedly the guest of honor, but might as well be a ghost. The waiter brings out a cake with candles. Everyone sings. Eliza puts her arm around me, the first time she's really paid attention to me all evening. I stare at the flames. The situation's suddenly crystal clear. "Make a wish," someone says. I look at Eliza, then at Kyle, then back at the candles. I wish for clarity, for self-respect, for what needs to happen next. I blow out the candles, stand up, toss my napkin on the table, and calmly say, "Thanks for coming, everyone. I need some air." Eliza looks confused. "You're leaving? We haven't even cut the cake." "I've lost my appetite," I reply. "Kyle can have my slice. Seems like he's taking everything else of mine tonight anyway." I walk out, ignoring Eliza calling my name. Outside, I take a deep breath. No anger, just resolution. I call an Uber and head home. My phone blows up with texts from Eliza. "Where did you go? You're being ridiculous." It's your birthday dinner. Kyle is just a friend. Come back and we can talk about this. I reply with just one message. I'm not coming back. Not tonight, not ever. We're done. She calls repeatedly. I don't answer. Instead, I go home and do something I should have done long ago. I log into my home security system. See, part of my business involves installing high-end security systems. My own house has one of our premium packages. Cameras at entry points, smart locks, the works. All accessible via secure app. During installation, I'd explain the system to Eliza, showing her where the outdoor cameras were positioned for her safety when she stayed over. The system keeps detailed logs, and I regularly check them as both professional practice and personal security. I hadn't noticed anything unusual until now, but I'd also never had reason to suspect anything. I checked the footage from the past few months, focusing on days I was traveling for work. And there it is. A pattern emerges. A familiar car in my driveway. Kyle, using the access code to enter my house. Eliza, greeting him at the door in ways you definitely don't greet just a friend. I watch enough to confirm what I already knew, then stop. I don't need the details. I just needed proof. Next, I check access logs for my smart locks. Eliza has an authorized code. I notice another code being used on days when I was away. 5953. Looking at the entry pattern and cross-referencing with the security footage, it's clearly Kyle using this code. A quick check confirms 5953 spells Qley on a phone keypad. Eliza had created a code for him without my knowledge or permission. I immediately revoke all access codes except my own. Change the alarm codes too. Then I send Eliza one text with a single frame from the security footage showing Kyle entering my house, timestamped from 3 weeks ago when I was at a conference in Denver. Her response is immediate. I can explain. I don't reply. Instead, I compose an email to her boss. Since we had a professional relationship through the security system I'd installed for their company, I politely inform him that I'm designating a different account manager from my team to handle their service needs going forward, citing a personal conflict of interest. I assure him there will be no disruption in service. I copy my company's operations director on the email, making it a formal business communication rather than something personal. Then I text my property manager, Mark, who's a close friend from college. 3 months ago, I'd purchased a condo in a building downtown as an investment property. It was a coincidence that it happened to be in Eliza's building. The opportunity came through a business contact, and the numbers made sense. I'd mentioned owning a rental property to Eliza but never specified where, and she never asked for details. The unit I bought was on the same floor as hers, but down the hall, Unit 3F, while she was in 3B. Hey Mark, tenant in 3F at Parkview mentioned water damage in the bathroom ceiling. Can you check it out when you get a chance? Might be a pipe issue affecting other units too. The tenant had actually reported this issue a week earlier, and I'd asked Mark to schedule a plumber, but the tenant's travel schedule had delayed the inspection. Now seemed like a good time to follow up. Mark replies quickly, "No problem. Plumber is scheduled for tomorrow morning. I'll let the building management know we need to check adjacent units too, as a precaution." I go to sleep surprisingly peacefully. The next morning, Eliza has sent 27 texts and left 13 voicemails. I read and listened to none of them. Instead, I call Tom, who's bewildered by last night's events. "Dude, after you left, it was super awkward. Kyle tried to act like everything was normal, but everyone was uncomfortable." Eliza kept checking her phone, then she and Kyle left together about 20 minutes later. "They went to her place," I say, not asking. "Probably. What are you gonna do?" "Already doing it." I explain about the security footage, and he whistles. "Cold, man, but deserved." "That's not all," I say and tell him about the apartment. "Wait, you own a unit in her building? She doesn't know?" "I bought it as an investment 3 months ago. Good location, below market value. She knows I own rental property but never asked for specifics, and now there's legitimately a plumbing issue that needs investigation." 3 days after the birthday dinner, it happens. My phone rings. "Eliza." I let it go to voicemail. Then again, and again. I'm in a meeting with a client when the texts start. "What did you do?" "There's water everywhere. The plumber says it's coming from the unit down the hall. The whole bathroom ceiling collapsed. Please call me back." What actually happened was more complicated than I expected. The plumber discovered a slow leak in the shared wall between units 3F and 3B, my rental and Eliza's apartment. The pipe had been leaking for months, causing hidden damage. When they opened the wall to investigate, the accumulated water suddenly released, causing significant damage to both units. The building's maintenance supervisor declared both apartments temporarily uninhabitable until repairs could be completed. Estimated time? 3 to 4 weeks. I didn't cause the leak. It was a genuine maintenance issue that would have been discovered eventually, but the timing was impeccable. She calls again that evening, and I finally answer. "Where am I supposed to go?" she demands, skipping any greeting. "I hear Kyle has a nice place," I reply calmly. "You know about everything?" "Yes, security cameras, Eliza. Did you really think I wouldn't notice you bringing him into my house while I was away?" Silence then. "I was going to tell you." "When? After my birthday, when you made me sit there while he gave you flowers? Or maybe after I found his access code in my security system?" 5953. "Really?" More silence. "Look," I continue, "what you do now isn't my concern. We're done. I've already packed up your things from my house. They're in a box in my garage. Let me know when you want to pick them up, and I'll make sure they're left outside for you." "You can't just—" "I already did." "Oh, and you no longer have access to any of my company's marketing accounts. I've informed your boss." "You're ruining my life over one mistake," she cries. "One mistake? You've been sleeping with him in my house for months. That's not a mistake, that's a campaign." "Fine," she snaps. "You know what? Kyle and I belong together anyway. He never stopped loving me." "Great. Congratulations. I'm sure you'll be very happy together." I hang up, block her number, and pour myself a drink. Happy birthday to me. 2 weeks later, I'm at a coffee shop when Tom texts me. "You see Instagram lately?" I hadn't. I check and find Kyle has posted photos of a weekend getaway with a woman who isn't Eliza. The caption, "Weekend escape with my favorite person. #no filter, #just happy." I almost feel bad for Eliza. Almost. A week after that, I run into our mutual friend Sarah at a brewery. She fills me in on what I've missed. Eliza had moved in with Kyle after her apartment flooded, assuming they were finally official. 3 days later, his ex came back into the picture. He asked Eliza to leave. She's now staying at an extended stay hotel that's eating up most of her paycheck. "She really messed up," Sarah says. "She had a good thing with you." "Water under the bridge," I reply, an unintentional pun that makes me smile. For what it's worth, I told her she was being stupid. Kyle was always a player. I shrug. Not my problem anymore. And it wasn't. I felt no anger, no desire for further revenge. The universe had handled it perfectly. 6 months later, my security business continues to thrive. I've hired a new technician and expanded our service offerings. I'm dating casually, nothing serious. My house is peaceful. I received one last email from Eliza about a month ago. Her apartment repairs were finally complete. She'd moved back in and found one of my sweatshirts in the back of her closet. Did I want it back? I replied with the address of a local donation center. Sometimes the best revenge isn't some complicated scheme. It's just standing up for yourself, walking away with dignity, and letting natural consequences unfold. And sometimes, birthday wishes do come true.